Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. I see you guys are still piling into the room, but good morning to everybody up bright and early on Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Good morning to Andy, Bill, Brian. We got Brian, Greg, Gilbert. Good morning, Jay Linder, JT, Liza's in the house. Good morning to Martina, Remco, all my peeps in YouTube land. Good morning to all you guys. We got Real Virtual Demand, Richard Jett, Ivo, good morning to all my lurkers just sitting there quietly in the background of YouTube. It's okay. I still love you. Hit the like and subscribe button as well. And let's get to it. Very strange. I was watching the market, I know, as I was driving on Friday. So I was only really trading the first kind of morning part. But it was a wild day. It was just kind of up, then just absolutely got wrecked for a while, and then within really one or two candles, all of that retraced, and we gave that one or two candles right back to the lows. Closed very, very low on Friday. The trend right now, at least, is still bearish. We are below all moving averages. I'm looking at a 15-minute chart, and we do have our VPOC also leveling down this morning as well. So gap down, all the volume from point of control is down as well. And I think we're going to probably continue that bearish trend downwards. There was one thing that I did want to start to look at more. Let's see if I can do a quick news share. Because I don't think, and I know there's people right now calling for, recession, crash, depression. And I think we continue to hear that as well. I think there will be a bounce at some point. I think there's going to be a bounce at some point. So I just want to look at this real quick. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. So I'm looking at this one over here, and I'm looking for the RSI. RSI is showing us that we are oversold. Let's zoom out a little bit as well. See if there's any divergence. Right now, there is a little bit of divergence. Right. So if you guys are maybe not as familiar or don't look at divergence as much, let's see if I can get that pen. There we go. So I'm looking at this divergence here. So we have back here to about 330.91. The price is continuing down, but from that same spot, we're looking at, no, that's not it. We're looking at this one right here. So we do have a little bit of divergence starting to come in, starting to build on this. I'm seeing that with everything, and we are in the oversold. So I think today at open, and then maybe we sell off at open, we'll kind of run through the technicals and we'll run through all that stuff. But I don't think this is the time. I don't necessarily think it might be the time to buy. I don't know if we have a crazy reversal and we just absolutely pop up and start hitting the all-time highs. I don't see any fundamental reason for that to happen, but I don't think this would be the spot to start to look short, at least on the SPY. I probably will take a look at the Qs too, see if we can find any divergence as well. But if we're looking at the Qs, you can also see the same type of divergence on the Qs as well. So somewhere down into the area, we are selling, and I think there's still some selling pressure. But if we're looking at divergence, and again, this is a 4-hour chart, you're starting to see a little bit of divergence. It is the 4-hour, so we could sell today and start to really bounce maybe tomorrow. And the bounce doesn't have to be massive or big or anything like that. But I think this is the wrong and incorrect spot to really say, okay, now I want to. I'm getting the FOMO from all the selling, and I think we should start to go short. I think if you want to go short, you've almost missed that opportunity. So I think if there's going to be some bounce, it should come relatively soon. Again, the bigger problem is the biggest problem that we have is, well, we don't know how high this market's going to go on a bounce, how strong the bounce is going to be, why the market wants to bounce. But I do think selling down here is a little bit late to the game for me personally. But let's go to the daily chart. Can you review the gap and go on Bob this morning? Yep, we'll take a look at that as well. So we got SPY. This is a retest gap after well, technically 3 days. We did have two little almost inside candles, and then that would be the fourth day. Some of these big, massive candles down, we still have a gap open. We are below that imaginary number of 431.82, which is kind of the support that I was looking to hold. And even on Thursday, we broke through that, kind of came back, 50% retracement, and the trend is still down. Right. So we're kind of in a weird spot where, yeah, the trend is bearish, everything is bearish. I just don't think this is the right time to really go short on anything. But to the downside, I do have the next spot at the SPY somewhere around 428.13. So we're not too far away from that. To the higher side, if we get a bounce, we do have a lot of room up to, I'd probably take us to about 431.06. So right now, unless we think that some of those levels could break, which they could, but I don't have any reason as to why they should, not yet. I think we actually do still have a little bit more. I think we have a little bit more risk to reward in a bullish direction from here than bearish, especially knowing that there is some divergence on a slightly longer time period. So just keep that in mind for whatever you're doing. And again, we could still sell a little bit more before I think we might get some either profit taking from some of the shorts, or maybe somebody steps in and starts to look at some value plays. Can't ignore the head and shoulders on the Qs. Very, very massive head and shoulders. Let me get, I don't know why my, hold on. I need my pen on this screen. There we go. That makes it more fun. This one would be the left shoulder. This would be the head. This is the right shoulder. Here is, I would say our neckline is probably about here. So we're not even quite to the neckline. If this thing is going to break down, that would probably put us somewhere around 356.24, somewhere in this direction. So again, it's still another almost $2 to the downside on the Qs, and then probably get some kind of a bounce there and then see if we could hold it. And that's how this would look if this thing does want to sell off. But again, we probably will come in for bounce. And again, we still have a little bit lower. So I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting move. If I'm going short on anything at open, it's going to be, I believe, a little bit to the short-lived side. I'm not going to go for home runs, I think. So Baba does gap frequently, especially after weekends. So if you notice, there is multiple gaps that kind of line up on Baba, mainly just because it's trading. The Baba itself is an ADR, so it's essentially a series. You don't actually own Baba when we're buying it here in the US. It's just a series of contracts that represent essentially where the price is on Baba. So most of it trades on the Hong Kong market. And then once we get the US markets to open, we're kind of getting the result as to where they're at. But they are down. This is technically a gap and go. I don't really see any support on Baba until I'd say about $84.40. And that's a decent looking support. So we'll see if that one could hold. If that starts to break and it really closes on their 43.47, we got some room back to $78, $79. So it is a gap and go bearish. This is technically an abandoned baby. I don't think the technicals work as well with Baba, just because again, it's after the market's open. And if you see Elliott waves, if you see Fibonacci's, those will work because it's live trading hours, but I wouldn't put as much love into the gaps that some other stocks might. All right. Let's see if we got any more tickers. If you guys have other tickers you want to take a look at, throw those into the chat. Let's take a look at Tesla. Again, very, very strong close. No wick on Tesla. This one just kept selling all day on Friday. Even as the market started to rally, Tesla really didn't go anywhere. I know we were all kind of looking at Tesla like, I think we should get a bounce, I would imagine. I do got the longer term VPOC sitting somewhere at 251.46. I think we can come back up there for a retest. This is also a retest gap. And we have the support of the 21 EMA. I like that EMA a lot. To the downside, if we come back a little bit further, probably looking for like 238.47 for a bounce. That would set up for some decent levels just in terms of VPOCs. We'll also be hopefully holding on to that 21. And this is a retest gap. So at open, I'd probably be interested in more of a bullish play than a bearish play. Let's flip back to see if we have any divergence on Tesla. Tesla 4 hours. just to get an idea. Not really. Not really any divergence on Tesla, so not as good as probably the SPY and the Qs. Actually, this would actually be implying a little bit lower on Tesla. But again, we do have that gap down this morning, so we'll see if that divergence wants to change a little bit. But yeah, for right now, I don't see any real divergence on Tesla on the 4-hour chart. But we do have a little bit of support coming in on Tesla, and this is a retest gap. So again, I probably wouldn't want to go bullish at open. Would be leaning for a quicker bullish move. And then targets on this one, at least immediate targets, would probably take us to the vicinity of this 245.09. So yeah, I wouldn't even be looking for much of a break higher than yesterday's lows. And if we do, probably looking for about 246.57, so somewhere to the bottom of that. If you're going for like a stretch goal, otherwise a little bit longer term, I do think this 251.24 is probably where we come up. We retest, and then if we want to come down from there or do a reversal, we'd have to get obviously through that point. So we'll see. Let's see. Nvidia, no tickers this morning. Okay, we got BABA. That's it. Nvidia. So Nvidia did do a little bit of a high wave inside day yesterday. We do have tweezer top, so watch that on the vids. So that would be your entry to go long to play some kind of reversal. So anywhere at 421.45. Otherwise, technically, this high wave is a bearish gap and go. A little bit of support below us. The next one would be, I think, 410.63, although that one's already been met on Thursday. We already got one bounce there. I think if we start to get down there again, probably looks a little bit weaker. And the next spot, 407.89. And then below that one, we have 403.97. So I would probably look for Nvidia for more continuation. Any type of a bounce bullish, I think I'd still want to run this one bearish. You do have the 21 coming in. 21 EMA is sitting somewhere at 406.68-ish. Might move a little bit at open, but somewhere in that 407 range, I would say, should be an interesting bounce spot. We'll see. We got Coinbase, COIN. I think crypto was down a little bit because that's what it does. Coinbase, horrific. Extremely weak close on Coinbase on Friday. Let me draw a quick Fibonacci on this one. That was a absolutely insane bullish pop that we had. And we actually closed below the 618. So I think I would be looking to fade this thing lower, but not at open. So I'd have to be patient on Coinbase and move this one up a little bit higher. Albert's in the house. Good morning, Albert. Yeah, I'd be looking to continue to short Coinbase. Probably not at open. Probably want to wait, and if it just opens and collapses, so be it. But see if we get a little retest. I would like to see 71, 74 come in. If we could hit that, that would be a decent spot to drop. We're below where some kind of level should have been. That's where we got the close. So you know what? Most likely we don't even get to that 71, 74. I think probably a good retest spot. If we could close yesterday's gap, $70.72, that's where I'll be looking to go short. But the fact that we did get a close below that 618, not good. I wish I had some better news, Coinbase. We got Airbnb. This is gonna be an interesting one. So we do have a lot of selling into this gap. Technically, it's a retest gap, but we do have any of the bulls on Friday, anybody at all that tried to get a bounce off that 21. So far, they're wrong and they're losing money. I would expect a little bit of chop at open on Airbnb. We do have some bulls trapped, but we have a lot more bears profitable. So I would expect a little bit of a chop. See if you can get some kind of bounce at rejection of like 131.39, somewhere in that zone. I think we have some room to go lower. I do see one little level of support 130.65. I think if that one could break down, next immediate target 128.96. And if that one could break, and I don't think that one breaks today, but we could have pure panic and anything's possible. But 125.85 would be a longer term target. So 125.85, if it gets down there, that would be a much better spot to look to go bullish. Otherwise, I'd want to remain bearish and short rips on Airbnb. Square SQ $44.30. Nobody, like, you could try to tell whoever you want when we're up at this $250 range that a company might be overvalued. And when you tell people your price targets, nobody wants to listen. They're like, that's crazy. I can't move my screen anymore. Why? There it is. But yeah, I have a price target on my screen. I was gunning for forever, just waiting. I got $42.18. We're getting a lot closer. A lot closer. But this is technically a retest gap as well. So a little bit of a bounce. There's nothing really in the way of holding this up. We're getting very close to a spot I would be interested in buying, but for me, I'm still $2 away. And in this type of environment, I don't think I have to chase anything. That's a one beautiful thing about this market. If you have a longer time frame than the next hour and a half to make some money, the market should, and I don't think we're there yet, but the market will be providing some decent, very, very good long-term opportunities. Square is one that, again, it's not my favorite company ever. I'm still more of a PayPal person than anything, but if we get down to that $42.18 or below, I would be interested in buying. Otherwise, small retest gap, lots and lots of selling into it. Again, don't be the first one to short this one when the bell rings. But if we get any bounce, I'd probably say into about $44.99, $45. Somewhere around that zone would be my spot to kind of look to continue to absolutely pound it short. We will see. We got Boeing. Boeing, a little bit of a gap down as well. Looks like we'll just kind of continue the same thing as the rest. Target still lower side. I don't really have anything until 195.39. So that might have to be a spot that I would strongly agree with. That would have to be the spot to hold, and I don't have any faith that it does. We've already hit that level. We've already got a bounce off of it, and I think we are definitely breaking down on Boeing. But again, shorting at the open, I think, is going to add a little extra risk to your trade that you might not want. So if you get a bounce to about 198.21, that would be the decent spot. Again, we were looking at this hammer. This hammer was the setup. This was the one for the bulls. We said any entry above this candle, so anywhere like 205.72, you got your entry. This is actually coming into a good bounce spot. Any close of 202.33, that's when you want to get out of this thing and continue to look short. And so far, we were spot on the money with that. The candle just did not hold. There's no strength right now in Boeing. And again, even at some of these levels, they've all been retested here. So if that one starts to break, the next really untested level of Boeing is 189.09, and we'll have to try to look for maybe some kind of a bounce there. Again, we got Apple, APL, and then we got AMD as well. We got Apple. It's got to hold. This is going to be a tough one to day trade. We are opening inside day candle. We are at an extremely good level of support. This support has been retested twice already. It is viable to break. You got two big wicks on the last 2 days, telling me that there's some bearish pressure. I would expect, I think, a little bit of chop on the open of Apple. I think, again, I put more pressure to the downside, to the bearish side, continue the trend lower, and probably looking for about roughly about 171. So 170.95, something like that. I don't think that hits today. Probably today, if we do start to break down, we're looking at about 173.16. Look for that as your bounce spot for today. AMD, Lucia says there's so many stocks that seem to be right back to pre-COVID prices. I'm not sure that they are bargains down here, just removing all the price action. The markets were a little bit like there was companies before COVID came out. Like if you remember, we had a good bullish run into COVID. Doesn't mean that the valuations were correct, right? Just because Square was $250, that was the stock price. That's not the valuation price, right? So that valuation, it is a little bit more art than science. But I mean, if you're looking at the numbers and you're like, how many shares outstanding? What is this company's valuation? How much do they expect to grow? And even if you just ask yourself, how much do you think this company can grow? At some of the valuations that some of these companies have, you're like, even if it's the best company in the world, even if it's Tesla, I just can't get into Tesla. I just cannot buy Tesla at these valuations. I love the company, I just don't love the stock, and there's a disconnect. AMD is a little bit to the downside as well. That looks like a pretty horrific gap. Yeah, I would look to go short on AMD as well. You have a little bit of support down here too. So 95.31, if that breaks, I think it's hell in the cell, and we just continue to drop down to about $90.17. So we have plenty of room to the downside for this continuation. This is our third day in a row of selling, and we'll have to see. But that doesn't, I mean, nothing about that looks like it. They want to save it. QQQs fully fall out of bed like SPY did last week. Yes, probably. But there is a little divergence longer term, Wendy, and we are gapping down. So I think be patient. I'm still thinking more bearish. Doesn't mean I can't play something bullish, but if I do play something bullish, yeah, I'm going to try to take that 1.22 or target. I'm not going for any home runs. And if I was to play something bullish, it's probably going to be quick out of the gate at open, and just trying to do a little smash and grab on the stock market, and then just continue to look bearish. Was looking at Square, for example. Yeah, Square's a heck of a lot lower. We are at pricing, I think this is COVID. Yep, so 2020. I don't know necessarily that this is also the best spot for it. I mean, look at the run up we've had. I will say since 2020, I mean, we're in 2023. That's 3 years more of history that we have. That's 3 more years of the company building clients, building technology, expanding. I think they bought another company or something like that too. Which one was it? I know Venmo is PayPal, and then they have something else too. I don't even know the name of it. I don't use it. But do I think this is the best pricing? If I was to buy shares at 42.18, is that the best price for me to buy? Probably not. I would say almost with 100% certainty that is not the best price. But that's where my starting price is, right? So based on my valuations, based on where we've bounced before previously, we've had that as some type of support. This is going to be my initial buy spot, right? And just by going through some of the fundamentals in a company and just realizing like, okay, yeah, it's probably not worth $180. It's probably not worth $120. Where would I be interested? Give it to me at $42.18. If it never hits it, it never hits it. But that would be my start. And then every month, if it's down a little bit more, which I expect it to be, that's where I start to build those positions. But now I start locking in the stock that I want, that everybody else maybe was trying to get into 180 and 250 because it's the next biggest thing in the world, and everybody loves Block, which is the peak of their stock price. But now I'm building up good quality companies, or companies that I like. At least in 10 years from now, maybe Square is no longer a thing. I have no idea, but I think it will be. And it's just a matter of where to get in. So just being extra patient and just not following the hype and getting all FOMO'd into stuff. You might I might never own Tesla, and I like Tesla, right? But if every company pulls back, I think even Apple's pulled back 20%, like 6-7 times in its history. You'll get these big moves, but after a move that just went from legitimately $32.91 all the way up to $250, you have to have some assumptions on this thing that that was probably a little bit hyped. So for an expectation, would you be looking to say 90 on this as a decent long-term sell price? No, no. So for me, I don't really have targets like that. So I don't have like a $90 I'm selling, because at $90, yeah, we could be back to 250. Depends on how long your long term is, right? So what I would do instead is, yeah, if we start to get back up to the $90 range or something where we're like, okay, we're up decent. Now that's the time that I want to sell covered calls, right? I'm going to let the market take me out of those positions. Otherwise, I'll just hold them forever, right? If as long as the company is not changing and the fundamentals still look good, the revenue is growing. They've already had a decent amount of just continued success. We have good cash flow. I'm on board. I like them. I'll stay with it. Otherwise, if we're getting to decent pricing, I'm not going to be like, okay, just nail me out at $90, because that's you're doing yourself, in my opinion, a disservice, right? If you have a company that's this, and okay, you have to wait another 5 years to go from 90 to 180. Oh, I'll double my money in 5 years. I have no problem with that. But worst case, I could still make money by selling covered calls against the shares, right? And I don't have to have too many tax events, right? Because I'm getting taxed on the covered calls, not the shares that I'm selling, which is the bigger bulk of the portfolio. So, and then again, you could do puts and things like that to protect back down to the downside. But yeah, I wouldn't have a target on this one to where I'm like, I need to sell this, but I know where I want to buy, right? I want to buy when everybody's fearful. Everybody just absolutely. I still don't think that this is the right time to like be loading boats on stocks. I don't think there's enough fear in the markets, right? I want everybody to absolutely hate the market. I want people to have zero interest in the market. And that's usually the better time. I think there's still like everything's going to fly to the moon and we're still going to bounce at some point. So we'll see. But today for the open, I am going to be a little bit more just probably patient. And if I do take anything aggressively, it will be bullish for me. Let me flip on over to the other chart. And it would just be me playing some of those retests and nothing too crazy in terms of pick out spot and essentially most likely pick out poison depending on depending on what it wants to happen. But nice little pre-market hammer on AMD if anybody's interested in that. That one is already starting to break again. Even Tesla just pre-market. Maybe we could get a pullback to 242.29, but Tesla has a little bit of room to the upside. Nvidia, again, you're starting to make this move. Be careful. I think all these things, at least that open comeback, retest at least 50% of this little candle or pivot. So be careful on your entries. And again, longer term, Qs has a nice double bottom pre-market. So again, we could lean on that. And again, all of this bullishness is for the moment. just keep in mind, this market could definitely come lower. But everybody out there on YouTube land, thank you for joining me each and every day. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. Check out realliftrading.com. We do have free education, free content. And of course, you guys can join us